Hello, I'm Kevin J.N. Hughes, the author of The Undamned, and as a horror writer, I love to tell ghost stories, so that's what I'm doing here. And you'll recall that we were just talking about the story of Jessica Naylor and how she and her husband had started down this road where her husband in particular was really obsessed with the demonic and particularly with the demon Pazuzu, to the point that he even started talking about potentially becoming a Satanist. So he was really kind of getting his head all twisted around different things. Um, and so Jessica, in an effort to understand what was happening, remember that at this point in time in her life, she wasn't a very devout Christian. Now she is, but she called a friend of hers who was a medium. And this medium came and she says that she now kind of regrets that decision. She wishes she had not called a medium. She wishes that maybe she had done something else. But she was feeling desperate. She called a medium, and this medium said that Eric had an attachment, that Eric had a demonic entity attached to him. And um, it turned out that this attachment actually began much earlier, potentially before Eric was even born. See, Eric comes from an Italian family, and his grandmother from Italy was very into the occult. And she called herself a black witch. She was a self-proclaimed witch. And so she had, at some point, for reasons that Jessica didn't feel comfortable specifying, this grandmother of Eric's who was practicing witchcraft and the occult had placed a curse on Eric's family. So I would just like to note that I have a friend who used to practice the occult and has subsequently become a Christian. And one of the reasons she became a Christian is she said that when she was practicing the occult, she uh, would place curses on Christians, particularly Christians in clergy, like maybe if they were involved in like pro-life demonstrations or something, she would place curses on them. And she said that she would always find this. One of the reasons she ended up becoming a Christian is because what she found is that in placing these curses on people, these curses could only light on someone, could only be effective against someone if that person was not a prayerful person. If Christians were active in prayer, if Christians were active in lives of charity and mercy, then their curses had no power. But if they were maybe spiritually lax, not really praying frequently, maybe not in church every week, whatever, um, certainly if they were not in church every week, but if they weren't praying every day and those sorts of things, then these curses could be effective. But that led her to realize that, God is more powerful than the things that she was sort of communing with. And I would note too that, the Christian Bible does tell us that a curse cannot alight upon someone unless we fall in grievous sin as well, or can alight on someone who falls in grievous sin as well. Such as a famous example is when the Israelites were in the wilderness and um, the Moabites were trying to put a curse on them, and the sort of prophet from the Moabites tells the king of the Moabites that he can't put a curse on Israel because they are not living in sin. So the Moabites send these Moabite women among the Israelites to try to seduce them so that they'll fall into sin and then they'll be able to be cursed. And so I say all of that just to say that I think it's important for us to remember to be people of prayer and pious lives, to be people who are living lives of charity and praying for others, praying for our enemies. And my own priest said at one point, there was actually a witch who put a curse on me for various reasons, and his counsel to me was just pray for her. So I did, and the curse not only was ineffective, but that uh, but praying for her was a huge blessing for me and hopefully for her as well. So, this is how we respond. We love our enemies. We pray for those who persecute us. Pray. So if you find yourself the subject of a curse, the best way to deal with that is don't fall into sin. Um, don't go to and so avoid things like pornography, avoid things like these things because that's what invites these curses. That's what enables them to alight upon you, but also practical acts of charity and piety, kindness towards others, praying even for those who put the curse on you in the first place. Um, but I share all of that kind of as just to say that this is what um, Jessica and Eric were going through is he had this curse on him, and then they potentially from his grandmother from before he was even born, and then this curse was able to light on him because he was not being faithful. He wasn't living up to his Christian faith, and because of that, this curse was coming upon him. So tune in next time to find out what happened.